Time for astrology in the news on the day of March 6th, 2018. Man, what an active month this is, and it's going to be a very active year, of course, because hey, with Trump in office, it's never a boring time, right? I'll tell you, man. I mean, I long for the days when, people would just say they hated George W. Bush, but no, no, no. Anyway, yogic wisdom of the day. Brought to you by the great Swami Sri Yukteswar Giri, the Swami of Paramahansa Yogananda, also one of the also a Vedic astrologer. And I don't know if anybody he inspired me to get into Vedic astrology. One of the greatest quests that I've been on is to find what is the original Yukteswar astrology. It's like, how did he do it? But he never wrote any books, at least that we've seen. So his advice is look fear in the face and it will cease to trouble you. So let's go. Ooh. Oh man, that thing is scary. That's an Asian wasp, dude. Them things are like, ugh. It's like, okay, these guys are back. Bring it on. Bring it on. Ah! Never mind. I'm okay. I'm okay. We're all good. We're all good. Whew. Some things I guess you just can't stare down. So, North Korea to talk denuclearization. And so here we have North and South leaders meeting for the first time. And of course, you can see Mr. Jong-un is fairly well fed, like myself. And of course, his haircut is brought to you by Jaguar. I mean, dude, look at that thing. I mean, Jaguar, man. I'm telling you, maybe it's the new North Korean logo or something like that. So taking a look at his chart, like I predicted earlier, Kim Jong-un, I believe, will be in power. At least we look at his chart. His dasha is going to be switching to the Mercury dasha in 2022. So, and actually that's not too long, but he's actually going to be he's in his Saturn Rahu Dasha right now. Now the thing is, we don't know his birth time, but taking a look at his chart, we can see that most of his stuff is in the sign of Sagittarius, okay? And what's going through Sagittarius right now, if you take a look here, Sagittarius is being aspected by Saturn, and he is in his Saturn Dasha. So this is a lot of changes. Now, if this is where his ascendant is, that is a lot of stuff. So he's going to be forced to change one way or another. Now, what's also going to be going on with Kim Jong-un is he's going to be going into Sade Sate in the next couple of years. So there's probably not anything that's going to be happening this year, but around 2021, 2022, those are the years that we want to keep an eye on him, because that's when he's going to be going through these major dasha cycle periods. Okay. Next, former Trump aide Sam Nunberg is all over the place. Yes, he is doing the media rounds, and he's going to every single network out there to share his non-story about some stuff that he may or may not do. He's had more trips on the Trumpagarong than Stormy Daniels. Because she fucked him. Yeah. All right. So this is his chart. So I got him born in New York, and if we see what he's got here, he actually has Venus conjunct Castor. So this is actually the star of writers, literates, people that are very good at let's see, associated with planets. So Castor, like I said, it's one of the Gemini twins, and it's the artsy fartsy Gemini twin, for lack of a better word. So people here have very good writing ability. They're very good poets, especially with Venus. Maybe this guy's a ladies' man and we do not know it. Let's see, Mercury and Sun are also conjunct the sign of Gemini, so he's also very intelligent. And of course, as we know, people that have planets in Gemini, and also he's got planets too in the sign of Virgo, he's kind of a spaz because that's a lot of Mercury and energy. So he's like all over the dang place. I know this because I got a couple planets in Gemini and Aquarius. And when you have a lot of air signs, you're always going and going and going and going, and you're always thinking and thinking and thinking. And now another thing to keep in mind here is that he has got a retrograde Mercury in the sign of Gemini, and Mercury's going retrograde here in a few days. So this is going to be his 20 minutes of fame, really. I don't know if we'll hear from him again, but if he decided to want to become a newscaster, he has the placements for it, because definitely has a very high IQ, but somewhat lacks in focus. But with Saturn here, usually that kind of is kind of brings it more into focus. Another interesting thing is Saturn and let's see, I'm sorry, the moon and the south node of the moon are in the sign of Capricorn. So this is a little bit more business and finance oriented. So we'll have to keep an eye on this guy. I think he's definitely got a good career ahead of him. He's in his Jupiter Dasha, and then after that, he's going into Saturn. Saturn starts in 2022, and Saturn's in the sign here of Virgo. So I don't know. Maybe he'll do well. I mean, it's too bad we don't know his ascendant. So. Now, former spy Sergei Skripal, sick after eating at Italian restaurant in England. I wonder where he went. Don't go there. So looking at his charts, don't let's see. So he was born in. I got him being born in Moscow. I don't have the city, but most Russians are born in eastern, in that part of Russia. So Moscow, St. Petersburg, that general area. Unless they're in Vladivostok, this is a pretty good indicator. So Venus and Pluto are conjunct. All right, this guy has a difficult time in love, or he's attracted to women that like to kick his ass. Especially so when Pluto conjuncts Venus, what there's a lot of subconscious, especially this with this type of an aspect in the sign of Cancer. There's actually a lot of repressed emotion. So it's kind of be interesting to see how this guy grew up. Let's see. Once again, we have another person with a lot of planets in Gemini, Mercury, Sun, and Uranus. So a very intelligent man. And of course, too, he's got his Saturn and wow, this is interesting. He's got a lot of the same planets as Nuremberg. Maybe these guys are in cahoots. Jupiter's in a great place in the sign of let's see, in the sign of Pisces here. Now, of course, Venus just went into Pisces, so is Mercury. Now, what's going to happen is he's in his Mercury Dasa. So let's keep an eye on his health and see what happens when Mercury goes retrograde here in a couple of weeks, because when it goes retrograde, it's going to be conjuncting this planet. So depending on where his ascendant is, this could be his eighth house lord. So, it's kind of hard to tell if he's in this Mercury Dasa. So he would be in, we're looking at Mercury Rahu. So Rahu could be in the eighth here too. So it really depends. And also too, looking at his Navamsa chart too. Let's see. Yeah. So without his ascendant, it's kind of difficult to tell. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to him when Mercury goes retrograde because he's in his Mercury Dasha. Okay. All right, everybody, as usual, thank you so much for joining me. And this was Astrology in the News. I am moving tomorrow, so I will probably not be doing a podcast. But one of the next casts I want to do is an astrological look at the Trump and Russia collusion and how everything started. Believe it or not, all this stuff goes back to 2008 with Pluto going into Capricorn. And then we have to take a look at March, or I'm sorry, I think it's like March 20th, 2014. That's when we had a grand cardinal cross, which impacted the Ukraine. And I'm telling you, after all said and done, all this stuff is going to lead back to the Ukraine. All roads in the scan will lead back to the Ukraine. It's all about the Ukraine. So we'll go over that a little bit more, probably Thursday or Friday. But otherwise, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this broadcast.